Hello, friends, and welcome to Time. This is another in a series of part of speech discussions, and the part of speech we are discussing today is adverbs. Okay, the handout that you should have for this particular discussion is SCHO 3532006. I repeat, the handout number should be SCHO 3532006. So let's understand what is an adverb. Adverb का मतलब क्या? So adverb is a word which modifies the meaning of a verb, an adjective, or another adverb. So from our previous discussions, we know what a verb is. We also know what an adjective is. So an adverb will modify the meaning or add to the meaning of a verb, an adjective, or another adverb. So it will give you descriptions of the verb, adjective, or another adverb. Let's understand this with a few examples. He runs quickly. So he is the pronoun here, right? He is the subject. Runs is the verb. And how does he run? Which word is telling me about the manner in which he is running? The word is quickly, and that's why quickly is an adverb. So because it is modifying a verb in the sentence, it is an adverb. Similarly, this is a very sweet fruit. So, as we know from our previous discussions, sweet is an adjective. It is telling me about the nature of the fruit. But till what degree, how sweet is this fruit? The word which gives the answer is very. So, very here is now modifying an adjective. So, this is very sweet, or this is a very sweet fruit. She speaks quite clearly. So here the verb is speaks, right? Quiet is again kafi in the sense she speaks quite clearly or clearly enough. Here quiet is an adverb and clearly is also an adverb. If I just said she speaks clearly, like he runs quickly, she speaks clearly. So clearly would then be modifying the verb speaks. But if I put quiet here, Quite, this adverb is then modifying the adverb clearly. So she speaks quite clearly. Hence, quiet is an adverb. Clearly also will be an adverb. I have underlined quite here because this is an adverb which is actually modifying another adverb. So an adverb is a word which modifies either a noun, either a verb as we saw in the first sentence, an adjective as we see in the second sentence, or another adverb as we see in sentence 3. So in sentence 1 quickly shows how or in what manner he runs, so quickly modifies the verb runs. In sentence 2 very shows how much or in what degree the fruit is sweet, that is very modifies the adjective sweet. And in sentence 3 quite shows how far or to what extent she reads clearly, and that's why quite modifies the adverb clearly. So let's now discuss types of adverbs. The first type that we're doing is right here, adverbs of time. Now these answer the question when, okay? So let's understand this with a few examples. I have heard this before. When did you hear this? Before. So before becomes an adverb of time. Similarly, that day he arrived late. So in the first sentence you have the verb have heard. In the second sentence you have the verb arrived. So when did he arrive? He arrived late. So late becomes an adverb of time. We shall now begin to work. When will we begin to work? Now. So now again is an adverb of time. He called here a few minutes ago. When did he call? A few minutes ago. So ago is an adverb of time. I haven't had a letter from him lately. So बहुत समय से उसने मुझे letter नहीं लिखा और I haven't had a letter from him lately. So lately again becomes an adverb of time. So late is an adverb. Lately is also an adverb of time. I have spoken to him already. When did you speak to him? I have spoken to him already. So already is also an adverb of time. The next adverb category that we're doing is adverbs of frequency. These adverbs answer to the question how often. How often is something happening? So the answer to that will be an adverb of frequency, right? Examples? I have told you twice. How many times have I told you? I have told you twice. So the telling has happened twice. So twice becomes an adverb of frequency. Similarly, I have not seen him once. How often have you seen him? I have not seen him once. एक भी बार नहीं, right? So एक भी बार once becomes a adverb of frequency. He often makes mistakes. How often does he make mistakes? How often does he make mistakes? He often makes mistakes. So often again is a adverb of frequency. He seldom comes here. Seldom means very rarely. So he seldom comes here. How often does he come here? Very rarely or seldom. So all of these become adverbs of frequency. They tell you how often the verb or the action is actually happening. He always tries to do his best. How often does he try to do his best? Always. He frequently comes unprepared. How often does he come unprepared? Answer is frequently, right? Okay, so the next category that we are doing is called adverbs of place. These answer the question where. Where is the verb or the action happening? So let's understand with examples. Stand here. So in this sentence, stand is a verb, right? And where are you supposed to stand? Here. And that's why here becomes a adverb of place. If you can see, it very clearly is modifying a verb. So here becomes an adverb of place. Many of us have heard this. Please stand behind the yellow line, right? When we are at metro stations, you hear this constantly. Please stand behind the yellow line. So behind becomes an adverb of place, right? उस जगह पे where are we supposed to stand? We are supposed to stand behind the yellow line. Behind becomes an adverb of place. Usually you will see adverbs of place in a command structure. Like for example, if I say go there, I'm commanding you, go there. So there is also an adverb of place. So usually in command structures, you will have an adverb verb combination, right? Usually adverbs of place. Come in, again, in is a adverb of place. Walk backward, backward becomes an adverb of place. He looked up. Now, apart from command structures with verb adverb combinations, there is also a placement structure, obviously, when it comes to adverbs of place. So, if you're looking or going or the action is happening in a particular direction, then that also is helped by the use of adverbs of place. He looked where? He looked up, right? He looked sideways, he looked down. So, whenever we're talking about directions, we will usually use the help of adverbs of place. The horse galloped away. Galloped is to run very fast. The horse galloped away. Where did the horse gallop? He galloped or it galloped far away. Away also becomes an adverb of place. So adverbs of place will answer the question where is the action or where is the situation actually happening. Okay. The next category is adverbs of manner. Now, these answer the question how or in what manner. If you remember, one of the very first examples that we took was he runs quickly. So, in what manner does he run? He runs quickly. So, quickly becomes an adverb of manner. Similarly, the soldiers fought bravely. How did the soldiers fight, or in what manner did the soldiers fight? The answer is bravely. So, bravely becomes a adverb of manner. The boy works hard. In what manner does the boy work? How does the boy work? He works hard. So, hard becomes a adverb of manner. Hari reads clearly. So clearly becomes an adverb of manner here. How does Hari read? He reads clearly. This story is well written. How is this story written or in what manner is this story written? This story is well written. So well becomes an adverb of manner. The child slept soundly. So again, soundly becomes an adverb of manner. Now, in adverbs of manner, you will usually see the ly suffix, but there are exceptions as we can see in sentence 2 and sentence 4. So please do not assume that any word with an ly suffix will become an adverb. Most of the time it will, but sometimes adverbs will also have, without adverbs will also occur without the ly suffix. Most of the times when adjectives are converted into adverbs, they take the ly suffix. For example, brave is an adjective, bravely becomes an adverb. Sound is an adjective, soundly becomes a adverb. But again, it is not 100% foolproof rule, as we can see from sentence 2 and 4. Okay. The next category is adverbs of degree or quantity. So these answer to the question how much or to what degree, in what degree. So let's understand with an example. He was too careless. How careless was he? Too careless. So T double O becomes an adverb of degree. Is that any better? How much better is it? Is it any better? Right? So this is now in the form of a interrogative sentence. It's in the form of a question. So is that any better? Any becomes an adverb of degree or quantity. These mangoes are almost ripe. So they are ripe to what degree? They are almost ripe. So almost becomes an adverb of degree. I am fully prepared. How prepared are you? Fully. So fully becomes again an adverb of degree. You are quite wrong. Please understand that quite, Q-U-I-T-E, is an adverb. Q-U-I-E-T is an adjective, right? Quiet, Q-U-I-E-T, is to stay silent, chup rehna. Whereas Q-U-I-T-E comes in the sense of enough or sufficient or kafi, right? So how wrong are you? Quite wrong. Kafi galat, right? So quite becomes an adverb of degree. The ocean is very stormy. Stormy as in the sea, the ocean, the water is very volatile. It's not at a peaceful level. It's a lot. The storms are brewing. The water level is very is going up and down. So stormy means basically that the ocean is not calm. So the ocean is very stormy. How stormy is the ocean? Very. So very again becomes an adverb of degree. Okay. So, what is the basic difference between adverbs and adjectives? First of all, we saw in the earlier example that if I use brave, brave then becomes an adjective, but bravely is a adverb, right? So that's one thing that we can understand. But the second thing is that sometimes the same words are used as adverbs and also as adjectives. So some adverbs are in the same form as corresponding adjectives, and sometimes they are used as adverbs and sometimes they are used as adjectives. It depends on the usage, it depends on the context and how they are used. So let's understand with examples. He spoke in a loud voice. So here loud is an adjective. Why? Because it is telling you about the nature of the voice, right? Voice is a noun. It is telling you about the nature of that noun. So it becomes an adjective. He spoke in a loud voice. Now if I say he spoke loudly, if I just add the suffix ly, then it becomes a adverb because then it's talking about the speaking. He spoke loudly. It is actually modifying a verb instead of an adjective. But if we want to use loud as an adverb, how will we do that? Don't talk so loud. So loud here is an adverb. So is also an adverb. Loud is also an adverb. Both of them are modifying what? They are modifying the verb talk, right? So if I say he spoke loudly, loudly is an adverb. And loud is also an adverb depending on the usage, depending on what it is modifying. So in the first sentence, loud is modifying voice, and in the second sentence, loud is modifying talk. So in the first, it's modifying a noun, hence an adjective. In the second, it's modifying a verb, hence a adverb. Another example, Rama is our fast bowler. So fast becomes an adjective, right? What kind of bowler? Fast bowler, right? But if I say Rama can bowl fast, then fast is an adverb because now it is not actually talking about the common noun bowler, it is talking about the verb bowl, right? So Rama can bowl fast. So fast here becomes an adverb. Similarly, this is a hard sum. It's a hard mathematical equation or problem to solve. It's something difficult, right? So here, hard is actually qualifying the noun sum. So that's why hard is an adjective here. But if I say she works hard all day, then here hard is actually modifying the verb works, and that's why hard here is an adverb. So if you see from the examples, the same word has been used as an adjective in one and as an adverb in another. Another way to make a adverb is to add ly, as I discussed in the first Loud will be an adjective, loudly will become an adverb. But loud can also be an adverb depending on what word it is modifying. So the same word can sometimes act as adjectives and the same word can sometimes act as adverbs depending on the usage, depending on the context. Okay. Some rules regarding use of adverbs. So now we are going to study about how adverbs are used in sentences, or what are the some of the rules that we should remember when we use adverbs. Okay. So rule number 1. In order to make the meaning clear, an adverb must be placed as near as possible to the word it modifies. So, in order to make the meaning clear, the adverb must be placed as near as possible. Why are we talking about as near as possible? Because, of course, we cannot go against the rules of grammar. We cannot, modify the meaning. So, while keeping the meaning intact, we should try to place the adverb as close as possible to the word it is trying to modify. Let's understand with examples. She just wants to take one class. So here just is an adverb and it is near wants, the verb, right? So she just wants to take one class, as in just one class. She doesn't want anything else, just one class, एक class, bus. So she just wants to take one class. But if we change the placement of just, she wants to take just one class. So here it is actually modifying one. One is an adjective. Here just is modifying a verb. Here just is modifying the adjective one. She wants to take just one class. As in, there are many classes, but she wants to take just one. So can you appreciate the difference of meaning that happens with the difference of placement of the adverb? In the first sentence, because I placed the adverb before wants, the meaning comes out that सिर्फ एक class. एक class is enough, more than enough, just one class. But in the second, she wants to take just one class. Here she has the power to decide. So she's saying, I'll just take one class. Only one I'm going to take. So that's the difference of meaning. That's the difference of intention that happens with the placement of the adverb. Okay. Let's take another example. He says he often visits my place. So often here is again qualifying or modifying visits, which is a verb. So he says he often visits my place. The meaning here is that वो कई बार मेरे घर या मेरी house जाते हैं. In the second, he often says he visits my place. Again, often is modifying or qualifying a verb, right? Says is also a verb, but the meaning changes. वो कई बार कहते हैं कि वो मेरे घर जाते हैं. The meaning is not वो कई बार मेरे घर जाते हैं. The meaning now becomes वो कई बार कहते हैं कि वो मेरे घर जाते हैं. So the placement of the adverb changes the meaning, changes the intention of the sentence. That's why, in order to make the meaning clear, adverb must be placed as near as possible to the word it modifies. So, in example 1, the first sentence has a different meaning, second has a different meaning. In example 2, first sentence has a different meaning and second has a different meaning. Depending on what you want to convey, depending on what the meaning you want to express, you should place the adverb as close as possible to the word that it is modifying. Okay. Rule 2. When an adverb modifies an intransitive verb, it usually follows it. So from our previous discussion, we know what an intransitive verb is. An intransitive verb is a verb which does not require an object, right? So an adverb modifies an intransitive verb. Whenever it does that, it usually follows the verb. Let's take an example. He writes neatly. If I had just stopped at he writes, again it would be grammatically correct because writes does not need an object. Writes is an intransitive verb. But if I want to say he writes neatly, then the adverb neatly will come after the intransitive verb. So he writes neatly. She sings melodiously. So if I had just stopped at she sings, the meaning is complete. Sings does not require an object, hence it is an intransitive verb. But if I want to talk about the manner in which she sings, if I want to use an adverb, then the adverb will come after the intransitive verb. So I won't say she melodiously sings. I will say she sings melodiously. Okay, so that's rule number 2. Rule number 3. The adverb only should be placed before the word it is intended to modify. So try to place only exactly before the word it is intended to modify. In rule number 1, the difference of meaning can actually make the placement different. But here, only will actually again change the meaning, and it is necessary to keep it before, just before the word it is trying to modify. Let's take an example. I only solved two problems. So here A is incorrect because I want to say that only two problems were solved by me, right? Only two. So it is actually modifying not the solving but the adjective two, and that's why I only solved two problems is incorrect. The correct way would be I solved only two problems. So I only solved two problems is incorrect. The correct would be I solved only two problems, because only is trying to modify to, not solve. That's why the second sentence is correct. Rule number 4. Hard is an adverb which means diligently. As we saw earlier, right? Even in this example, he works hard. Hard actually means with a lot of determination, a lot of focus, diligence. So it is an adverb which means diligently. So he works very diligently. He works with a lot of focus. He works hard. But hardly is also an adverb, and that means scarcely or barely. So just by the addition of the suffix ly, the meaning changes, right? So if I say hardly had he reached the station when the train left, he had barely reached the station, just reached the station and the train left. If I were to use another example, if I say he works hard, means he works with a lot of patience, with a lot of diligence. But if I say he hardly works, then the meaning would change to he doesn't work at all. He barely, scarcely ever works. So that's the difference between hard and hardly. Just with the addition of a suffix ly, the meaning of the adverb changes. Keep in mind that both hard and hardly are adverbs, but the meaning is very different. Okay. Rule 5. The subject of the main clause must be the same as the understood subject of the introductory phrase. In other words, the introductory phrase modifies the subject of the main clause. This is also referred to as a dangling modifier. Now let's understand this with the help of an example. When only a child, my mother took me to the circus. So when only a child is my introductory phrase. It is introducing something. When only a child. Now here, because the introductory phrase is talking about a child, as in the speaker of the subject, and the rest of the statement is now beginning with mother, and that is a different subject. So the subject of the main clause must be similar to the subject of the introductory phrase. So here, my mother is now a different subject than me. It should be here, me should come first, right? And that's why the correct format would be when only a child, I was taken to the circus by my mother. I have changed me to I because, as we know, I've changed the objective to the subjective because of the voice. When only a child, I was taken to the circus by my mother. I can't say my mother took me, because that would actually break rule number 5. Rule number 5 says that if there is a subject in the introductory phrase, then the main clause or the main phrase or the main part of the sentence should also have the same subject or same main or principal subject, right? So here that's why sentence 1 is incorrect, because the main subject is me, the speaker of the sentence, and mother is not the main subject. So I have changed it to I was taken to the circus by my mother. So here only has become a dangling modifier. Okay. Okay, so let's start with a few questions. I hope everyone has their handout ready. We're going to be discussing a few select questions from the handout. Not all of the questions will be discussed, but enough of them are going to be discussed so that you can solve the rest of the handout. I hope everyone has their handout ready. Let's begin with question 1. So, question 1. The tribals who smiled indulgent at that maddening foreigners are strange but harmless. So, now we're talking about tribals, basically tribal populations. Who smiled? The relative pronoun is correct here. Who smiled indulgent at that maddening foreigners are strange but harmless. So, this sentence actually has two errors. Smiled is a verb and therefore takes an adverb, not an adjective. An adjective will modify a noun or a pronoun, but here it cannot modify a verb. A word which modifies a verb is an adverb, as we have understood. So, smiled will take an adverb, And also the word foreigners is plural, right? Foreigners is plural. The noun foreigner is in the plural format, foreigners, and that's why the correction will be the tribals who smiled indulgently. Ly will be added. The tribals who smiled indulgently at those. So that is singular, those is plural, hence we will replace that with those. Those maddening foreigners are strange but harmless. The tribals who smiled indulgently at those maddening foreigners are strange but harmless. Okay, moving to question 2. The weapons in Rina's sculpture of samurai warrior are beautiful objects with handles exquisitely ornate. Right. So the weapons in Rina's sculpture, the possessive is used, that's why the apostrophe. In Rina's sculpture, sculpture of what? Sculpture of samurai warrior are beautiful objects with handles exquisitely ornate. Now, ornate is an adjective, handles are obviously nouns, and exquisitely is an adverb. So here the error is in the placement or sequencing. So the adverb exquisitely modifies the adjective ornate. So it should be placed before the adjective, which it is, but the adjective in turn is modifying the noun, so the noun should actually come after the adjective. Hence, the corrected statement will be the weapons in Rina's sculpture of samurai warrior are beautiful objects with exquisitely ornate handles. Exquisitely is an adverb which is modifying the adjective. Ornate is an adjective which is modifying the noun handles. So, adjective before noun, an adverb before adjective. So exquisitely ornate handles. Alright, moving to question 6. This shop hardly has any good books on literature. The shop hardly has any good books on literature. So the error is that the adverb should be placed as close as possible to the word it modifies, as we have just studied. So the correction will be that in the given sentence, hardly must be placed near any good books, because we are talking about any good books, scarcely any good books, hardly any good books. Because the conveying meaning, or the meaning that the writer of this sentence wants to convey, is that this shop has no good books. That's why the correction will be this shop has hardly any good books. So the meaning of the sentence has not changed because I've changed the placement of hardly. The meaning is not changed. That's why we said that the adverb should be placed as close as possible. So here it is possible to make the adverb closer to the word it is trying to modify, and that's why we will do that. This shop has hardly, we'll just interchange this. This shop has hardly any good books on literature. Question 8. The train which usually is on time came lately today. The train which usually is on time came lately today. So the error here is actually in two parts. There are two errors in the sentence. The first is that adverbs of frequency are usually placed after a be form verb. So the be form verb here is. We know this from our previous discussions on verb. So adverbs of frequency are usually placed after a be form verb. So usually will actually come after is. That's the first error. The second is lately suggests a recent happening. Like we discussed in a previous example, I haven't had any letters from him lately. So recently there hasn't been a letter in a long time. Recently I haven't had a letter. But the sentence suggests that the train came later than the specified time. That's why the correction will be the train which is usually on time came late today. The train which is usually, so usually will come after the be form is, which is usually on time came late today. So that's question 8. Moving to question 10. Scarcely had he entered the hall than the mob attacked him from behind. Scarcely, barely, just as he was about to enter the hall, or just as he entered the hall, then the mob. Mob is usually a group of angry people or a violent crowd, attacked him from behind. So scarcely is used in inversion, as in it is in the first part of the sentence rather than the second. When scarcely is used in inversion, than can replace when, which usually goes with scarcely or hardly. So whenever we use scarcely or hardly, we say hardly and then when, scarcely and then when. That is usually the format. But if scarcely is used in inversion, then than can actually take the place of when, and that's why this sentence has no error. So question 10, the sentence is absolutely grammatically correct. Okay. Moving to question 11. She has made a rather fairly hot soup. Now, the error here is that both rather and fairly mean moderately, quite a lot, right? Rather and fairly both mean moderately, so only one needs to be used. That's why the correction will be either she has made a rather hot soup or she has made a fairly hot soup. So you can either take rather or take fairly, but you can't take both of them together. So correction, the first correction that you can do, the first way of doing it, you can say that she has made a rather hot soup. The second way is that you can say she has made a fairly hot soup, but you will not use rather and fairly together because both of the words have the same meaning, which is moderately. Okay. Moving to question 16. She always is late to school and has several excuses for it. She always is late to school and has several excuses for it. The error is that the positioning of the adverb always is faulty. So she is always late. Again, be form, right? Is be form. So the adverb will follow after. So she is always late to school and has several excuses for it. So is के बाद हम डाल देंगे always. That's the only error here. We'll just interchange the positioning of these two words. She is always late to school and has several excuses for it. Okay. Question 20. No sooner had I reached the station when the train left. I had just reached the station as the train was leaving, as in I reached and the train left. Okay. So the error is that no sooner is followed by than and not when or then. So we cannot say no sooner then or no sooner when. It has to be no sooner than. That's just a usage thing that we do. This is just how no sooner is used, and that's why the correction is obvious. No sooner had I reached the station than the train left. No sooner had I reached the station than the train left. Okay. Question 23. Never before I had seen John in such a ferocious mood. Never before I had seen John in such a ferocious mood. Ferocious means aggressive, violent mood. Okay, so when we use never in the beginning of a sentence, the verb should follow it. So the verb should come after never. Now, never before is a phrasal, combination. So we won't change before, but we can certainly pull the verb closer to it. And that's why the correction will be never before had I seen John in such a ferocious mood. Never before had I seen John. So I'll push the verb closer to the adverb in this case because whenever the sentence begins with never, a verb should follow it. Okay. Question 25. According to James Well, Iraq at this point of time is a cauldron of violence, far worse than ever Ulster was. So cauldron of violence basically a melting pot, a pot in which things cook. So basically everything is happening at the same time and it's all going wrong at this point. So according to James Well, according to this person, Iraq at this point of time is a cauldron of violence. It propagates, promotes, encourages violence far worse than ever Ulster was. So Ulster we can consider a name of a place, proper noun. Okay, that's why the U is capital. So the placement of ever is actually wrong because the adverb ever usually comes after the subject of a sentence. So for this part of the sentence, this latter half, this last half of the sentence, Ulster is the subject and that's why ever should come after Ulster and that's the correction. According to James Well, Iraq at this point of time is a cauldron of violence. Completely right. The error is now here. Far worse than ever Ulster was. So we'll just change or interchange the places of these two words. Far worse than Ulster ever was. So because the subject of this second half of the sentence is Ulster, ever should come after that. And that's why the correct sentence will be far worse than Ulster ever was. Okay. Moving to question 26. Robert played the guitar yesterday brilliantly at the concert. Now, here it's about the sequencing of the adverbs. So, when we talk about the ordering of adverbs, the appropriate order is adverb of manner. In our case, the adverb of manner is brilliantly. How did he play the guitar? In what manner did he play the guitar? The answer is brilliantly, right? Then it is followed by adverb of place. Where did he play the guitar? At the concert. And then finally, adverb of time. When did he play the guitar? Yesterday. So first we'll have the adverb of manner, then the adverb of place, and then the adverb of time. Like similarly, we had studied about the sequencing of adjectives in our previous discussion. Adverbs also follow a particular sequence. In this case, first adverb of manner, then adverb of place, and finally adverb of time. So the corrected sentence will be Robert played the guitar brilliantly at the concert yesterday. So Robert played the guitar brilliantly at the concert yesterday. Okay. Moving to additional questions for practice, we are now doing question 2. As these books on science are published only in English, we seldom or ever find them in regional languages. So, seldom is a negative adverb of time. बहुत कम, rarely, and hence it also takes a negative adverb. So, we will change the sentence to as these books on science are published only in English, we seldom or never find them in regional languages. So, we will interchange ever with never. Seldom or never find them in regional languages. Okay, 4. The movie was fairly boring, hence it failed to attract crowds. So, as we already know, fairly and rather are both meaning the same, which is basically moderately, right? But fairly is used with favorable or positive adjectives and adverbs, while rather is used with unfavorable adjectives or adverbs. So, rather is used in a negative context and fairly is used in a positive context. Now, from the sentence, we can understand that it's a negative sentence because the movie was boring and it failed to attract crowds. So, the connotation or the general sense of the sentence is negative, and that's why we will replace fairly with rather. So, the movie was rather boring, hence, it failed to attract crowds. Why are we replacing fairly with rather? Because, as we already know, both of them mean moderately, both of them have the same meaning, just that the usage dictates that fairly should be used with positive adjectives and adverbs and rather should be used with negative adjectives and adverbs. So here we will just replace fairly with rather. Okay. Question 10. Rani prefers to swim rather than jogging in the morning. So as we know, prefer always takes two. We know this from our previous discussion, so this part is correct. Rani prefers to swim rather than jogging in the morning. The error is that after rather than jogging, the ing suffix is incorrect. So because in the first half of the sentence, to plus verb is used, that's why in the second half of the sentence, again, we will need to use to plus verb format. And that's why the corrected version will be Rani prefers to swim rather than to jog in the morning. So first half to plus verb, then after rather than again we have to plus verb. So to plus swim and then to plus jog. Rani prefers to swim rather than to jog in the morning. Okay, moving to question 14. He is as intelligent like he is hardworking. He is as intelligent like he is hardworking. The error is that the adverbial clauses of comparison of degree. So we are saying as good as much as large as. We are basically comparing. So that's why they are introduced with the adverb as. So in both parts, we'll need to use as, and the correction will be he is as intelligent as he is hardworking. So we will have to replace like with as. So as intelligent as good as large as much as. So that's why the second half of the sentence like will be replaced with as. He is as intelligent as he is hardworking. Moving to question 17. They have quite violated the rules and regulations of the firm. They have quite violated the rules and regulations of the firm. So the usage of quite here is incorrect because it adds an adverb, it modifies either an adjective or another adverb, but it never modifies a verb. Violated here is a verb. So quite will actually either modify an adjective or another adverb, like quite clearly, quite angry. So either it will modify an adjective or another adverb, but it is never going to modify a verb. So using quite here is wrong. So we'll replace it with an adverb which will sufficiently convey the meaning of the sentence. So we will replace quite with completely, as it is an adverb of manner. How did they violate the rules? Completely. Okay. And it should be positioned after the verb phrase. So as we know, the adverb of manner usually follows the verb, and that's why the corrected sentence will be, they have violated the rules and regulations of the firm completely. So they have violated the rules and regulations of the firm completely. So two lessons to take from here. First, that quite will always be used with an adjective or an adverb. That is, it is either going to modify an adjective or an adverb. It is never going to modify a verb. And second, that adverbs of manner will usually follow the verb. That's why the corrected sentence will be, they have violated the rules and regulations of the firm completely. Alright, question 19. Morris Ginsburg observes that sociology has historically its roots in politics and philosophy of history. So here historically is obviously an adverb, but here this is history the subject, it's a noun, okay? So the error here is that historically is a time adverbial or time adverb, and it should come at the beginning of the clause or beginning of the meaning of that particular part of the sentence. And that's why the corrected sentence will be, Morris Ginsburg observes that historically, comma, sociology has its roots in politics and philosophy of history. So we'll put the adverb of time before we begin the next half or the main clause of the sentence. So Ginsburg observes that historically sociology has its roots in politics or in politics and philosophy of history. 23. The manager walked abruptly away from the meeting, leaving his partners shocked. The manager walked abruptly away from the meeting, leaving his partners shocked. Now, this is again a question of sequencing of adverbs. So, when there are two adverbs and one is of manner, one is of place, then manner will come after place. In the earlier question, we had three adverbs. We had time, manner, and place. So, the sequencing there was slightly different. But when there are two adverbs and one is of place and one is of manner, then manner, adverb of manner will come after adverb of place. And that's why the correction will be, the manager walked away abruptly. So away first and then abruptly. First adverb of place, away, and then adverb of manner, abruptly. So the manager walked away abruptly from the meeting, leaving his partners shocked. So here the sequence is different because we are only talking about adverbs of manner and adverbs of place. Please do not get confused with the earlier example or earlier question, because there we were taking more than two adverbs into consideration. That concludes our session on adverbs. I hope this session was helpful. Thank you and all the best.